Hello students, Mr. Lassiter here with you, and in this video we're going to talk about building your narrative essay. More than just the topic sentence, how do we construct an argument and support it? Our video goals for this lesson are to think about how an essay is structured in history, how should you support your topic sentences, going beyond what we did in our previous video, and what are some tools that help with organizing essays when you get to these longer formats. So let's go ahead and start with just the basic essay structure. When you are writing a longer essay, you typically have something we call a thesis, right? That thesis is your main claim or your major argument, and typically you state that right up front. After all, it is an argument. Writing a historical narrative essay is essentially building this argument. You might have complex arguments, and they likely are multifaceted. So more than just, say, a narrative paragraph where you might have just one or two things that you're trying to get across, a narrative essay would have more ways of looking at something. Perhaps you have multiple perspectives that you need to investigate. Maybe you're making a claim that one thing was more impactful than another. Maybe you're examining causes and effects, or things that change and things that stay the same. So when you have these more complex arguments, certainly you can't put it in one big block of text. So you're going to structure that argument around a central thesis and then use several different subclaims to analyze all aspects of that question or prompt that you're given. So how then do we build these subclaims? Well, that's what we think of when we consider our body paragraphs. That's where we do this. Each body paragraph of an essay is meant to support a thesis statement. So each body paragraph typically deals with only one subclaim. So for example, if you're writing an essay about causes and effects, each cause might be one body paragraph and each effect might be one as well. If you were writing about different perspectives on the beginning of a war, you might look at one side and then look at the other. Or if they had similar views, you might look at them together and compare them with each other and then examine the differences in later paragraphs. But it just really depends on what your subclaims are. And each body paragraph, of course, has that topic sentence. Remember that in our last video, we covered topic sentences and exactly what we meant by a topic sentence and what they were supposed to include and not include. So go ahead and take a look back at that video if you have any questions. But when you support a topic sentence or your subclaims for an essay, we want you to be able to provide specific historical evidence to support your point. So you should explain how or why the evidence you chose is significant. That evidence is likely coming from sources that we read in class or information that you're learning. Typically we cite that evidence. And then you would again explain, why did you choose that evidence in service of that subclaim? You also would provide any necessary sourcing or contextualization information that might be needed to fully understand that subclaim. Basically, you are offering not only what your point is, but evidence for that point, and you are explaining that evidence. And that is what we call analysis. And the last thing I'll leave you here with is something we typically refer to as the rule of three when writing. If you have three strong pieces of evidence which you offer analysis for in support of a subclaim, you're going to have a fairly strong argument. Now, that is not always possible. Sometimes you only have maybe two solid pieces of evidence, but the more pieces of evidence and the more analysis that you offer, relevant analysis that you offer, the more likely your subclaims are going to be stronger, and thus your whole essay will be stronger. So when we think about supporting that topic sentence, this is the basic structure. You provide that topic sentence itself. Again, take a look back at that video. You bring in that specific historical evidence that supports your claim. You provide analysis or that detailed explanation of the significance of your evidence and claim. And again, incorporate sourcing and contextualization as needed. And then note also, when does your evidence agree with with each other? Do certain aspects of different documents agree? Do certain events lead to the same conclusion? So you can note that in your writing as well, by using different phrases that say things like, likewise, this event also occurred, or in a similar way, right? So make sure that you are doing that, and you're going to repeat that as necessary, as many times as needed to build that strong paragraph. Of course, building the strong essay is just piecing together these strong body paragraphs, right? If you have a thesis statement that you want to prove, then you need to break that thesis statement down into your subclaims, which become your topic sentences, and each of those topic sentences or subclaims are supported by evidence and analysis. And here, of course, I've shown the rule of 3 that we have here with that evidence and analysis. Obviously, some paragraphs you might end up with more evidence for than others. Some arguments are certainly stronger than others, so keep that in mind. It won't always look uniform across the board. But ultimately, you will be supporting your topic sentences or your subclaims, and those will in turn support your thesis statement or main argument. Ultimately, we want you to build a strong house, not a house of cards. Remember that your argument is only as strong as the evidence you provide. So if you are not providing evidence that is particularly true and meaningful and relevant, then your argument is going to fall apart, because your analysis will not provide enough depth to support your argument itself. And remember, you can't just have a laundry list of evidence. You must provide analysis. Each level of this argument is supported by what's underneath it. So make sure that you are working to build that strong essay with proper evidence and analysis. Now, there are a lot of different ways to go about organizing your writing and organizing an essay. And so we're going to take a look at a couple different tools here. This tool you might recognize probably the best, which is the Harvard Outline. The Harvard Outline is the standard Roman numeral, capital letter outline, maybe some lowercase letters and numbers depending on how deep you take your argument, that just really puts in a very clean format what you are trying to do. You're going to have that thesis statement in the introduction. Each body paragraph will support that thesis statement and what's above it. You'll have a subclaim or topic sentence supported by evidence and analysis, and you'll repeat that as you go. Another way you can think about structuring your body paragraph, let's say that maybe in our class we're writing narratives that are not complex and we're just writing a paragraph. You might even think about using graphic organizers, just seeing that structure of support here. Topic sentence introducing your subclaim, excuse me, a piece of evidence that supports the subclaim and explaining how that supports it, right? That's that analysis piece. A second piece of evidence and analysis, a third piece of evidence and analysis. And then you can either end with some analysis or support, or you could connect that claim back, that evidence back to your subclaim or back to your thesis. And a third tool is simply using a skeleton essay format, right? Going ahead and thinking about what the question is, having an introduction, writing your thesis, and then getting into your body paragraph. What is your topic sentence going to be? All right, well, what evidence would support that topic sentence? The topic sentence is true because I have this piece of evidence. I have this second piece of evidence and this third piece, right? And so you would, in that sense, think about the evidence and analysis all in one as a support for that topic sentence. And again, don't be limited to the rule of 3. You can use as many pieces of evidence as needed. Your concluding sentence will help wrap that up and transition to your next paragraph. So this is another tool that will be at your disposal when writing these longer narrative essays. So that's just your quick introduction to thinking about how to write longer historical narrative essays. make sure that you can answer these goals questions. How is that essay structured? How should you support a topic sentence? And what are some tools that can help with organizing the essay? As always, you can go back and rewatch this video as needed, and make sure that if you haven't already, you've watched that video on topic sentences so that you know the do's and don'ts of writing them. Have a good day.